ॐ ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये ॐ श्रीकृष्णपरमात्मने नमः अथ श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता अष्टादशोऽध्यायः मोक्षसंन्यासयोगः क्षम्यतां this is actually the summary of all chapters. It is not Ashtadashodhyaya. Okay, so as per Brahmaraj's instruction from 14th chapter onwards, I am repeating again. In the 14th chapter, it was said, he does not hate anything undesirable that comes, much less does he long for anything desirable that has gone away. He remains seated like someone who is indifferent, undisturbed by the gunas. Na dveshti sampravrattani na nivrittani कांक्षति उदासीनवद आसीनो गुणैर यो न विचालयेत. Note that he is like an indifferent person. He is not indifferent but different. He is free from the dependence upon conducive and non-conducive situations to be happy. He is not disturbed at all by various internal and external situations. Then further in the 15th chapter it was said, those who do not have the delusion of being an agent, who have conquered the various concerns with reference to attachment, affection, etc., who are totally committed to seeing the nature of the self, who are completely free from desires for heaven, etc., who are completely above the pairs of opposites like Sukha and Dukha. Such people who are never deluded go to that end from which there is no return. निर्मानमोहाजित संगदोषा अध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामा द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्ता सुखदुःखसंज्ञैः गच्छन्ति मूढा पदमव्ययं ततः. Thus, in these three chapters, beginning with the 13th chapter, the various means for gaining knowledge were given. However, these become means only for the seeker, not for a jnani. The three types of results of action, desirable, undesirable, or a mixture are not there for those who have renounced all actions. Action, as we saw in the beginning of this chapter, has five causal factors: the physical body, the sense organs, the notion of agency, instruments of action, and the presiding deities of all these. I repeat again, the three types of results of action, desirable, undesirable, or a mixture, are not there for those who have renounced all actions. Action, as we saw in the beginning of this chapter, has five causal factors: the physical body, the sense organs, the notion of agency, instruments of action, and the presiding deities of all these. All these are necessary for performing karma, and all karmas have been given up by these people, the Jnanis. How did they give up all these karmas? You cannot give up your body and sense organs, etc., when you are alive. That being so, how can one give up karma? Shankara says that they have the knowledge of the non dual nature of Atma, and therefore they know that they are not the agent of any action. Karma requires five factors, but Atma is one, and everything else, including all these five, is mithya. Therefore, 1 plus 5 is still 1. The one who understands, that is freed completely from all things connected with action, karakas. If he is free from all karakas, he is neither an agent, karta, nor an object, karma of any action. The results of action are not for those who have this knowledge of the non-dual self, which is absolutely free from action. The result of an action can be desirable, undesirable, or a mixture of the two. None of them will be there for these people who abide in this knowledge, who, in other words, know the truth of Bhagavan. These are the real sannyasis. In gaining the knowledge of the nature of Bhagavan, they have completely resolved or taken refuge in the oneness of the Atma, which is identical with the nature of Bhagavan. The threefold result of karma is not for them, it is for everybody else. Whether he is a person who follows the Veda, a Vedika, or is purely secular, Laukika, whether he is a believer, Astika, or non believer, Nastika, religious or non religious, whether he is a Pandita or an illiterate, he is subject to these results of actions. May I request Lavlinji, I think kindly mute yourself, please. Dhanyavad. Those who are doing good action, let me repeat, whether he is a I repeat, there was a breaking of voice also from my side. Whether he is a person who follows the Veda, a Vaidika, or is purely secular, Laukika, whether he is a believer, Astika, or non believer, Nastika, religious or non religious, whether he is a Pandita or an illiterate, he is subject to these results of actions. Those who are doing good actions will reap desirable results, no doubt, but they are still subject to the results of actions, while those who know the nature of the self are not subject to the results of actions. All others being ignorant of this fact and therefore taking themselves to be agents of action are subject to the results of those actions. They are given to karma because they have not yet come to understand the Atma. Since they have not given up karma by knowledge, they are subject to the result of karma. Thus, we have this division. For those who know the nature of Atma, the Jnanis, there is no result of action, karma phala, unlike for those who do not know the Ajnanis. So, those that equation, the basic equation, Atma plus the five things, if he knows that is those five things are mithya and 1 plus 5 equal to 1 atma only, though they are jnani, and for them there is no karma bandhana and there is no karma phala. But those who do not know this and they continue in the samsara as a kartritva bhavana and as a physical body with all organs of actions and their deities, respective deities. Since they have, please let me know if you want me to repeat or if you want to share something. Since they have karma phala, they have got to act in order to get the results they desire. Those who know, however, need not do anything. Thus, we have this division of action being necessary, kartavya for the ignorant, and not necessary, akartavya for the wise person spoken of in the Gita. Because he is free from all actions, the Veda does not enjoin any karma for the one who knows the nature of the self, Jnani. The Veda does enjoin karma for the Ajnani. However, in order to help him gain purity of mind, antahkarana shuddhi, or any other result, kamya karma that he may want, he already thinks he is an agent, and the Veda goes along with him, enjoining him to do nitya naimika karma to get rid of papa and gain antahkarana shuddhi so that he can gain knowledge. Thus, the Veda gives us a clean plan to live a meaningful life, one that is useful for gaining moksha. So that is the Sarala way. Even those who are still feeling that they are karta. So they can continue their actions and they get the pressure of their kshetra and their antahkarana shuddhi happens. Or if they are doing any kamya karma, they get fulfilled. Their wishes get fulfilled. In the vision of the Veda, what is meaningful is to gain moksha. Just imagine a life without any exposure to this Atmajnana. How did you live before this? I also try to imagine how I was living without any exposure to this knowledge. It is foolish, absolutely foolish, to live a life without any exposure to this teaching. Such a life has no meaning whatsoever because one does not know what one is doing. It is a total surrender to some kind of a general idiotic pursuit. Until you begin searching, you cannot say that anything is useful. When you look back at all this pursuit, it all looks so silly. So true, no, for all of us. Without Atmajnana, everything, whatever achievements, whatever pain or pleasure, they have no meaning at all. We simply get along with life, finding some small joy in the things we love. Those things become Bhagwan for us because our ego fuses there. Simple love is the only thing in samsara that gives it some semblance of meaning. But to live a life without Atmagnana is absolutely meaningless. Only when you come to know do you wonder how you could do that, even though a person may be performing Vaidika karma, etc. It does not mean anything if the person does not have any exposure to this teaching. Once he has that exposure, karma becomes yoga, and whatever he does becomes meaningful. His life gains a direction because there is something to be accomplished. So that prayerful attitude comes while doing the karma. Once there is Atmagnana, now there is an objection. It is not established that all karma is preceded by ignorance and objection. It was said that all karma, whether it is enjoined by the Veda Vaidika or is purely secular, Laukika, is preceded by avidya, ignorance. The point here was to show that because all karma is preceded by ignorance, karma is incapable of removing ignorance. An objection is now raised. Not all karma is preceded by ignorance. The performance of any karma enjoined by the Veda presupposes knowledge of that karma gained from the Veda. Without the knowledge of a karma like Agnihotra through the help of the Veda, there is no way of doing that karma. The Veda gives the knowledge that this is the karma and that it is to be done in this particular manner. Doing the ritual presupposes this knowledge of it, and we have no way of knowing it except through the Veda. Therefore, it is looked upon as a pramana producing knowledge. Thus, a karma enjoined by the Veda is preceded by knowledge. How can you say that a karma enjoined by the Veda is preceded by avidya, ignorance? Certain other karmas may be preceded by ignorance, but not those enjoined by the Veda. Even apart from Vaidika karmas, there are other karmas also that are not preceded by avidya, ignorance. If I'm running away from a snake which is not there, that activity is preceded by ignorance. But even simple exercise, for instance, is preceded by some knowledge, such as if I do this exercise, I will reduce the fat on this part of the body. Cooking also is preceded by knowledge. Wherever there is error, we can say that an action is preceded by ignorance. But we cannot say this for actions which are deliberate, which are based on empirical knowledge. Therefore, you cannot say that all karmas are preceded by avidya. So there is an objection that if, without the knowledge or without the information, one cannot perform the karma. Only with the knowledge, they can perform the karmas. He has given the example of doing Agnihotra or doing any cooking or anything. Without knowledge, you cannot do. So you cannot say that it is preceded by avidya, ignorance. So now the Vedanti's answer. Like the one who does karma known to be pratisiddha from the Shastra is an Ajnani. So too the one who does Nitya karma. Vedanti's answer. Shankara says, no, it is like the killing of a Brahmana, and further, clarifies the point. न ब्रह्म हत्यादिवत यद्यपि शास्त्रावगतं नित्यं कर्म तथापि अविद्यावतः एव भवति यथा प्रतिषेधशास्त्रावगतम् अपि ब्रह्महत्यादिलक्षणं कर्म अनर्थकारणम् अविद्याकामादिदोषवतः भवति अन्यथा. Shankara says, no, it is like the killing of a Brahmana, and further clarifies the point. The Shastra says that killing a Brahmana is a great papa. If a person who is harmless, who is religious, who is doing something like teaching in local school, and who is absolutely non-interfering in anything, is killed for no reason, that is considered the worst crime, even according to secular law. Uh, my voice is breaking too much. Please let me know if it is disturbing. Both
Sorry,
the Shastra.
can you repeat this from the beginning? Yeah.
Yeah. Vedanti's answer, like the one who does karma, no pratisiddha from the Shastra is an Ajnani, so too the one who does nitya karma. Vedanti's answer. So he has um, equivalent, he has considered that who does the karma known to be pratisiddha is equal to the person who is doing nitya karma without atmajnana. They both are same. Vedanti's answer. Shankara says, no, it is like the killing of a Brahmana, and further clarifies the point. The Shastra says that killing a Brahmana is a great papa. If a person who is harmless, who is religious, who is doing something like teaching in a local school, and who is absolutely non interfering in anything, is killed for no reason, that is considered the worst crime, even according to secular law. Both the Shastra and the man made laws conquer on this. There are other things which may be unethical according to the Veda, but are legal. For example, even though the law permits it, the Veda says one should not take an intoxicant. Suram na pibet. It is immoral according to the Veda, which means that doing it incurs papa. Nowadays, there is a great public awareness of how much harm alcohol does, not only to the drinker, but also to his family. But besides that, the Veda tells us it attracts papa. Killing a Brahmana is a crime according to the law, like killing any individual. But on the other hand, according to the Shastra, it is a great crime. Even though heinous actions like killing a Brahmana have highly undesirable consequences and are prohibited by the Shastra, people keep doing them. Why? To whom is the Shastra addressing its prohibition? For whom is this type of karma possible? Shastra tells us that it is possible only for the one who has avidya. Because he has avidya, there is the desire to acquire something, raga, or to get rid of something, dvesha. If he does not have these, it is not possible for him to engage in such an activity. He has his own inner pressure and therefore he does it. Because of his false notions, something else becomes more important than what is said by the Shastra. He knows the consequences and he knows that the Shastra prohibits it. In spite of his knowledge of the Shastra or knowledge passed on to him by those who know the Shastra, he performs this prohibited karma. What does it mean? Even though one has the knowledge of the Veda, the sense of agency, kartritva, does not go away. And therefore, desire does not go away. Similarly, suppose the Veda says that those who want to gain a given result should do this prescribed karma. I may gather knowledge, all right, but I do the karma not because of that knowledge, but only because of a desire for the result. And that desire is born of ignorance. There are others who have the same knowledge but do not do that karma. Even though one has knowledge of the means and the end, one may employ the means or one may not. Thus, knowledge of means and ends does not impel one to act. It is only ignorance. What kind of ignorance? Beautiful. This is the takeaway paragraph. It is ignorance of Atma that is cause of action in general. When Shankara says that all action is preceded by ignorance, he is not talking of sadhana, sadhya, ajnana. The ignorance of the me.
Hariom Pelaji.
Yeah,
Just one.
Hariom.
I have one, like I could not follow what yesterday also Sureshji was telling about the killing of a Brahmana. So can you explain? Like he wasn't clear, voice wasn't clear, so I could not follow what he said.
I can explain it once again.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
See, killing of Brahmana means anybody, whatever Brahmana is, okay. The pious man and all that who doesn't involve in the what you call anger or anything. So, killing of Brahmana is a very, very sinful act. And this act is equivalent to killing of any person, whatever you say. And that is well known, means in the day-to-day life, everyone knows that killing of a person is a crime, heinous crime. Even though he knows Atma Jnana or not, that Jnana is there. You see, civil ethics are there, not to kill, not to harm. But he may not be knowing the Atma Jnana. That is the point there. You got it? Or
Yeah, so he is carried up away by his raga dvesha because of
see,
that
raga,
what you
dvesha and
mentioned,
all
that
other
inner
things.
pressure. Inner pressure, he is like, for because of some inner pressure, he performs that
He
act.
performs it. But no, and see, even I know I am a knowledgeable person. I know that it should not be done because everyone is sane. But day-to-day life, this is a heinous crime. He may not be knowing the Vedantic, this one, Advaita Bhavana, or the knowledge, Jnana, but he knows that killing of any person is a sinful act. He is comparing that. You got it?
Yeah, thank you, Sureshji.
Right, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, dhanyavada, Suresh. Yeah. So it is ignorance of Atma that is the cause of action in general. When Shankara says that all action is preceded by ignorance, he is not talking of sadhana, sadhya, ajnana, the ignorance of the means and ends. I repeat, very important line. When Shankara says that all action is preceded by ignorance, he is not talking of sadhana, sadhya, ajnana, the ignorance of the means and ends. He means the ignorance of the fact that the self is not an agent of any action and is complete, purna, and therefore has nothing to gain by performing any action. I repeat, this is again a takeaway line. When Shankara says that all action is preceded by ignorance, he is not talking of sadhana, sadhya, ajnana, the ignorance of the means and ends. He means the ignorance of the fact that the self is not an agent of any action and is complete purna and therefore has nothing to gain by performing any action. Certain actions, the naimittika karmas, are mandated by the Shastra. Who will do them? Just as the prohibited actions are done by those who have ignorance, so too these karmas are done only by the one who has ignorance of the nature of the self. When the Shastra gives not only its prohibitions but also its injunctions, it is keeping in view only the person who is ignorant of himself. So beautiful. So the one who has self-knowledge, he does his Nitya Naimittika karma out of joy, as Brahmaraji always reminds us. It is that all his karmas as yoga, as prayerful attitude, he does it out of joy, not for joy, for gaining some result.
So the ignorance here is by, like, he's mentioned three things, that the ignorance of the fact that he is not the agent of action, like he does not have that krititva bhavna.
Kartritva bhava.
Yeah, and then he is complete, he is
Correct.
purna, he doesn't have
Purnatva
any
bhavana.
lack.
Yes.
He has no lackness in him. And third
Mhm.
is that he has nothing to gain, so he doesn't expect any result out of
Correct.
the action which he's doing. So these three, if he has these, he's not an ignorant person. That
Correct.
ignorance is
Actual ignorance, yes.
yeah.
Otherwise, he, or like the one who performs Agnihotra, who knows the mantrochara, yeah, that is just an information. That has not become an assimilation in his life. It is the
Yeah.
knowledge about the Nitya Karma is different thing, and the knowledge about self here is,
It's
he has
different.
separated that. Yeah.
That is why he says he's not talking of the sadhana sadhya jnana. What the Purva Pakshi is saying is, without the knowledge of Agnihotra, you cannot do. That is not what Shankara is. Shankara says he is not talking of that ajnana. That vidya, of course, needs to be there. Without knowing what Agnihotra, how you should do, you cannot, of course, do. But he is talking here of the fundamental avidya. And that precedes all action.
That's why here the definition of that knowledge, jnana, they think if I know something about this matter, that is knowledge. That's what we are thinking nowadays also. But the knowledge, jnana means here atma jnana, self-knowledge. And without self-knowledge, that is ignorance. Means viveka is not there. Discrimination capacity of understanding which is permanent and not permanent.
And there is a stark contrast between how a jnani functions and how an ajnani functions. A jnani functions. He is, although he is doing, he is not doing. He is seeing, he is not seeing. So that is from the standpoint of the jnani. Because for him, Atma is actionlessness. When there is only one, what action will you do? Whereas for a ajnani, because he feels incomplete, because he feels he lacks something, he goes about thinking if he does this, he will get that. Thinking if he does action, he's going to feel complete. And therefore, that desire to do action, that kama to do action, because no action can be done without that desire. And that desire is born from avidya.
And the main point here is attachment to the body. You know, actually the Atma is asangoham. When you are attached to the body and you are caring for the body, okay, you are caring for the body, everyone cares for the body. But with attachment, if I don't do this completely, it is my body. That my body is the problem there. It might be your body, but it's not you. That is the jnana, no? What I get to this body, how I have to feed this, that is driving everyone to do the work, karma. So, that is just for living sake. He doesn't know exactly what is the jnana. Jnana here is Atma Jnana, which is asangoham. And if we have doubts about this Advaita, that is the asangoham, as I told yesterday, I think I may not be clear that time because I was outside. This in Ashtavakra, Guruji has said that if we have doubt means sandeha. And sandeha, actually, the meaning of sandeha is attachment to the body. Samdeha. So when you are attached to the body, you are not with yourself. You are always thinking of how I should look after my body, how I should keep this body happy. We have to keep this body. Because of this body only, I can get the Atma Jnana that is there. But not that if I don't completely, without knowing the Jnana, I'm only attachment to the body. Once you are attached to the body, then everything starts. Dvaita starts. Separation starts. I am you and you are the other person. That Bhutatma, what is that? Sarva Bhutatma is not there. That feeling is not there. You are separate from the other. That is ignorance. And that causes to kill everything for his purpose. He is afraid of that fellow. Bhaya starts. Krodha comes. Jealousy. Everything starts. When we are attached to the body. That sandeha, that is doubt. We should not have doubt on the Advaita. Advaita is oneness. There is no change in that. Body changes every minute. Everything moves. Everything changes. except the Atma. Because that is changeless, we can see the changes around. Therefore, it is very, very important whether you are attached to the body or you are with yourself. That is the self-knowledge. And every crime, everything starts with that ignorance only. Jai Guru.
Very beautiful new meaning of Sandeha, that one, that attachment. Thank you so much. Very beautiful explanation.
That is in
I
Ashtavakra
didn't
Gita.
get that. What he said about Sandega, what is it connected with the Dega? I got that, but what is Sun?
Samdeha means attachment to the body.
Oh, okay, that's what okay.
The meaning of
What is the
Sandeha.
meaning of
But
Sandega?
actual meaning of Sandeha is doubt.
Yeah,
What is
yeah.
the doubt?
yeah.
What is the doubt?
Something doubt is that you are doubting yourself. You are not.
Yeah, that is what.
So from listening to you, you know, then the whole thing is what we are.
So when we have doubt, everything finish.
We have
Kalas.
to remember this, like we said, like, oh, thinking about Brahman, Tambura, like, actually, that should be a constant thought that this Aham Brahmasmi and all this that you're doing, actions, we cannot, we cannot be simply there without doing any action. But that actions we are doing is unattached.
That is what. No, thinking that the Atma is same everywhere.
It's true. That is true. But even
that Sandeha,
yourself,
you know, how it is true. When
exactly.
Sandeha means when you are attached to the body, you think that you are separate and the other fellow is separate.
You're all like string together with like a pearl necklace.
So that is ignorance.
Yeah.
And all the crime, all the jealousy, all the krodha, all whatever shadripus, they arise only because of ignorance of this. That is Atma Jnana.
True. Do you read this again? This it is ignorance of Atma that is cause of
Sure.
Yeah.
It is ignorance of Atma that is cause of action in general. When Shankara says that all action is preceded by ignorance, he is not talking of sadhana, sadhya, ajnana, the ignorance of the means and ends. He means the ignorance of the fact that the self is not an agent of any action and is complete, purna, and therefore has nothing to gain by performing any action. Certain actions, the nitya naimittika karmas, are mandated by the Shastra. Who will do them? Just as the prohibited actions are done by those who have ignorance, so too these karmas are done only by the one who has ignorance of the nature of the self. When the Shastra gives not only its prohibitions but also its injunctions, it is keeping in view only the person who is ignorant of himself. So, doing Padma Sadhana with the self knowledge becomes like a dance, and without the self knowledge, it becomes like mandatory action which you are doing for the sake of your body to keep it healthy. Now, again, Purva Pakshi's objection. It is not possible to do Nitya Karma without knowing the Atma as distinct from the body. Purva Pakshi's objection. I repeat, it is not possible to do Nitya Karma without knowing the Atma as distinct from the body. Purva Pakshi's objection. Now, this person raises another argument based on his understanding of ignorance, avidya. It is impossible, he argues, for a person to do Nitya Naimittika karma like Agnihotra, etc., without knowing that the self is distinct from the body. Why? When you perform an enjoined karma, it produces punya, whereas doing a prohibited karma produces papa. Are they visible? No. They are credited to the account of the individual jiva who does the karma to be encashed by him later. Therefore, the one who does such karma must necessarily have the knowledge that there is an Atma who survives the body, who is going to reap the unseen results of the actions done here. Unless he has that knowledge, how can he perform such a karma? You cannot perform the Shraddha karma for the departed soul, for example, unless you accept a soul that has departed. Nor can you perform karmas for entry to heaven because you know that this body is left behind here. Who is going to enter heaven? If you take the body as the Atma, you cannot do a karma whose result is going to accrue to the one who survives the death of the body. Nobody performs karma enjoined by the Veda without knowing that there is an Atma other than the body. That means he has no ignorance, avidya, but rather he has knowledge, vidya. How can you say that all karma is preceded by ignorance? This is an argument raised by the opponent. So he is considering that because a person, he is performing this Nitya Naimittika karma, because he knows that after the death of the physical body, there is some punya or papa happening. That is why with clear knowledge of his, that Atma, which is coming and going. So again here he has that kartritva, that Atma is karta. This is that he considered that as vidya, the knowledge of Atma. In that sense, he considered that he already has the knowledge of Atma while performing all the actions. Merely knowing the Atma as distinct from body is not total knowledge. Vedanti's answer. I repeat, merely knowing the Atma as distinct from body is not total knowledge. Vedanti's answer. This argument is not valid because the knowledge of Atma spoken of here is not complete. The knowledge that the self is distinct from the body comes under religion, and it is common to all religions, including Islam, Christianity, and Buddhism. In fact, it is not so much a knowledge as it is a belief. For Vedanta, this is only a part of the method of teaching, prakriya. It is not what it wants to convey, tatparya. I am not teaching Vedanta to tell you that you will be reborn. You were never born. Where is the possibility of being reborn? That you think you were born is your problem. So, in the vision of Vedanta, we are not committed to rebirth, but it has to be part of the prakriya when we are considering the model of karma. We have varieties of prakriyas. The model of karma, along with the concept of rebirth, is one of them. But we have no commitment there at all. So very beautiful. How do you know that you survived death? You can only say that the Shastra says so. You cannot know it for certain until after death. And no one can return from death to verify this fact for us. Everyone is born totally ignorant of what preceded the birth of that body. It will be always the same and therefore will remain always a mystery. It can be called a belief. We consider it knowledge because it is revealed by the Shastra. But it is knowledge that will always be mediate. Nitya Paroksha Jnana. That knowledge, however, is not what we call knowledge of Atma. Even the person who knows that the self survives death thinks, I perform this action. And by that he means, I am an isolated individual who is the agent, karta, and the enjoyer, bhokta of the results of action. As long as he looks at himself purely as a karta and bhokta, his knowledge is not complete. That knowledge and the knowledge of means and ends, sadhana, sadhya, is not real knowledge. It is ignorance because it is opposed to the truth about the nature of the self, that the self is neither an agent nor an enjoyer. This is why we say that karma is preceded by avidya. So beautiful. So, coming and going, birth and death is just a prakriya. But here in Vedanta, it is not the tatparya. Here it is clearly mentioned by Sri Shankaracharya ji that Atma performs no action. It is only the death of the physical body and rebirth of the physical body. And that remains again the Gahano Karmanagati. So this is the argument. So the knowledge of the Atma is not sufficient, but the knowledge that Atma is complete and is a karta, neither the karta nor the bhokta is a complete Atma Jnana.
Just like a hello,
Yes, Hari Om,
birth
yeah.
and the death are just like as we change our daily years, no, childhood and youth. It's daily changing. Therefore, we are not seeing the change. Someone has to come. Oh, you have become tall. Always it happens to us. So the death and birth also is just like a prakriya, because Atma is not changing at all. And you are Atma, but what we are thinking is we are our body. Therefore, we are attached. Oh, I have taken the birth. And once I have taken the birth means I will be dying. That is impermanent again. So that is not a self-knowledge. Therefore, that birth, you are not born, you are not this. It is a continuum process. Only I am holding this body for a long period, therefore I think. But even that long period, if you compare with the galaxy, this is nothing. The period is nothing. So we can, what Shankara says is, you are unborn, ajata. That is the highest one later on. But at least we should just know We are not the body. That's it. First. Once we know that, it is just like it's my car. My car. I have to take care of my car. And it is called car only, Ratha. This is Ratha, which is carrying the Atma, Krishna as Atma. So I have to take care of the car. I put petrol, I put this one, I change the tire, everything. So you have to just do that as it comes. That has to be established in your mind, that I am not this body. Everything, all the suffering, all the sadness, happiness, even the happiness also. Not only that happiness is good and all that. No. Happiness also is a karma. This one. You are happy. Means Satchit Ananda. That's permanent. Your source of it. Only your body is attached to it. You feel the pain in the body. You feel the sadness in the body only. Body-mind complex. Not it, you. You are not that body-mind complex. Main is the mind. It is the mind that is the film in between the Atma is the light and mind is the film. And in that film, everything is reflected like picture. You see the drusha. And that is that impression comes. And because of that impression, all these vasanas and all that. Good impression is called sanskara. Bad impression is called vasana. Both are not good. That film has to become clear. That is the Vedanta. So all things, this because of sanskara and also for vasanas, all this attachment to the body, all sorrow, birth, death starts. And because of this ignorance only, we don't know that all karma begins. If I do this, I will be happy. If I do that, I will be sorrowful. These are all changing. So with that ignorance, every karma is happening. Once you know the jnana, you are not the doer. You are not the bhokta. You are not the karta.
So the Purv Pakshi, they are saying that the body and Atma, they are two different things.
No, they
right?
say, but they say, but they don't know that they are that Atma. They are attached to the body also again. They
Yeah.
say it is different. They don't have the full knowledge of the Atma Jnana. Half knowledge, that is what is written also, no there. And I think in future, further, Shankara writes, their knowledge is not complete. It's a very, very, very subtle, very, very subtle. Unless the notion that I am the body, unless it goes out, you are still in this process of samsara. That has to go.
They
So
are
you have to
identifying. They are identifying the basically the subtle body with the atma, with
Atma,
the yeah.
mind. They are thinking mind as Atma. Mind is just a reflection, like mirror type. And Atma is the light. With this light, that projector into the mind, it goes out, and all the picture happens. Samsara. Cinema. Because everything is moving, you feel that body is this one, it is going, it is coming, it is up. It's all mithya, actually. It is all
I think
images.
the basic is that confusion is because of that I notion, that kartritva bhavna. Because
Is
of that,
there.
you are having that I notion to that is basically superimposed upon your that is avidya basically.
Avidya.
No?
That is the avidya.
And also the incompleteness, that feeling of incompleteness, that I still lack, I need to do this for this.
Purnatva.
What is it called? Shobhnatyasa? Apavadas. Yeah, we read some like that, right? The
Yeah, we
superimposition.
consider Shobhana Dhyasa is like we consider a rope as a snake and get fear.
No, what I understand, but Dr. Sarkarji was saying something. The fall, when I say I'm doing, that means the ignorance is that we are superimposing it on Atma, that I am doing in terms of the action, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what it. No, the thought came to me about Atma Bodh actually when we said the birth takes place again and all that. As a matter of fact, Atma is not born or not dying.
That
Only
is what
this
I told, no,
body.
that.
Yeah, no birth, no death for the others. So the whole reason we are taking another birth is whatever that karma that we did, or the sanchita karma, the karma sharira is intact, and that is causing this birth to take place. That's what we read, right? Like
Yeah.
in
But
terms of that.
once you get this
So
idea
the
of knowledge,
one thing, let me kind of this is my understanding of just what we are reading
okay, continue.
about that part of it. So okay, then how is this thing is happening because of that reason, right? So when you say this thinking going to Swarga, the body doesn't go. We know that body is end up going back to its own elements once it's dead. But what is going to Swarga then? Basically, that subtle body, maybe that I don't that I was just kind of thinking in those terms, but
Now that
then
subtle body attracts the uh, other body in the form where
so that
all your
anyway,
vasanas are again you
none
will
of
be
it
born to
is
fulfill that vasanas or
none of
eliminate
the
that vasanas.
seeing. So we just a thought. But when we talk about this birth and death, that doesn't apply to Atma. Like as much as it says we are not doing anything, it's also not have birth or death. So once the
Therefore, the
body,
main cause of the body is desire and dvesha, raga and dvesha. Ultimately,
the
it
karma
comes to
schedule.
that.
which carries
Because of your desire,
all the
you will
impressions
come again.
from here, there, everywhere.
So,
to exhaust
because
all
of the desire, you will take the birth to fulfill that desire. Again, you will incur more karmas. Again, you will, again, that wheel of samsara. So, unless we get this knowledge of jnana, of Atma Jnana, we will not be relieved of the body, samsara. That is what is moksha.
Yeah, very beautiful, Manana.
No, it has to be established in our mind, our consciousness. Therefore, we have to negate it. I am not the aham, this one, no? Shankaracharya's mano buddhankara naham. Everything, I am not that, I am not that, I am not that, not that, I am not that, I am not that, I am not that. And then I am asangoham, the Brahmavali Mala. First negate everything and put the positive thing. I am Satchitananda. Ameva avyayam. Asangoham. Nirakara, Nirdhara, everything. All that. First negate it. Mano buddhyahankara. Then put the positive thing. Negative is just configuration. Becomes zero. The mathematic, whatever you are, it will just come. Asangoham. Unless you make your mind still, everything happening is only because of your thought in the mind. And that thought has to be stilled, and it will occur only in the meditation. Otherwise, you will be again thinking, and again you will be trapped, again you will be doing, again everything boring. Therefore, it is given more importance for the meditation. We are cleaning the mind, so that the mind should become thoughtless. Thought means the movement. Once the movement means the chakra again, samsara chakra starts. Therefore, still the mind, don't do anything. You don't want anything. See, 3 things. That is for the meditation. And that has to increase in our life. Then only we can reach. Thank you. I think I told a little bit higher things. Okay, no problem. But that is the ultimate thing.
Yeah, very beautiful explanation. I will read further because it is very, very interesting. As Shankaracharya says further, any karma is due to ignorance alone. Vedanti. Shankara negates the Purva Pakshi and defines ignorance here. And in the process, defines karma as that which is in the form of activity, chalanatmaka. He says that any action which is chalanatmaka is anatmakartrika. I repeat, that is, it is na atmakartrika, not done by Atma. Very, very beautiful sentence. I repeat once again. Shankara negates the Purva Pakshi and defines ignorance here, and in the process defines karma as that which is in the form of activity, chalanatmaka. He says that any action which is chalanatmaka is anatmakartrika. That is, it is na atma kartrika, not done by Atma. That is, it is done by one who has this notion that I am doing this action. Whatever be the karma, whether it is enjoined by the Veda, Shrauta karma, or enjoined by the Smriti, Smarta karma, or it is done as an atonement, Prayashchita karma, or it is a prohibition, Prasiddha, Pratisiddha karma, Kshamyata. Pratisiddha karma, or it is in the form of a mandate, Nitya Naimittika karma, or it is in the form of an option to fulfill a desire, Kamya karma, or it is purely a secular action, Laukika karma, or is done physically, Kaika karma, orally, Vachika karma, or purely mentally, Manasa karma. It implies some kind of motion. There is movement, change, even in breathing, opening and closing the eyelids, and hearing, etc. Any mental activity is also motion. There is movement from one thought to another. One object is there, then that is gone, and another appears. On the part of the doer also, there is constant change. Now he is a seer, now a hearer, now a thinker. There is no karma without change and therefore motion. Now a karma which is subject to change is performed by whom? By anatma alone. Is the body atma or anatma? Even according to this person who is arguing, the body is anatma. Even though it is the body which is doing the action, and this fellow knows very well that the self is other than the body, what does he say? I do, aham karomi. He does not say, my hand is offering the oblation or my body is bathed, but rather, I offer the oblation, I bathe. He does not say that his tongue repeats the mantras, nor does he expect the tongue to get some results. Who is the karma phala bhokta? It is the person who thinks that he is going to get the results. Even though the action is done by the body does not think that it is the agent or that it is going to be the one who experiences the results. Whereas the person says, I do the action, I will enjoy the results. There is the ignorance, avidya. Even though I have a belief that the self is other than the body, I can never avoid identification with the physical body, etc. Because this is a belief only about the situation after death. The appreciation of the Atma should be total, otherwise, it can only be a simple belief. The notion that I am the body or that I am the agent, karta, will be there. because the subtle body, Sukshma Sharira, is identified with the body. Naturally, whatever happens there happens only to me. That notion of agency will not go away simply by a belief that the self is other than the body. The self is not subject to any movement, achala, and therefore, where is the agency? Kartritva. Not even the Shastra can address this Atma. The Shastra can address only an agent of action. Keeping that in view, it says, do this. Can it address Satchidananda Atma? No. It says that you are such Chit Ananda Atma who does not perform any action and is free from samsara. And when it enjoins an action, it is only from the standpoint of the mind, which is superimposed upon Atma and has Atma superimposed upon it. Because of this mutual superimposition, there is a sense of agency, kartritva buddhi. This is a false notion, and therefore every action is preceded by ignorance. So beautiful. So that fundamental error is brought to the notice here by Sri Shankaracharya. That all the chalit activities, all the chalit karmas, whether it is manasa, vachasa, whatever, they are all anatma, done by an. But as Sureshji very beautifully explained, that we have to consider that body is a car. So we continue, we do not park the car once the destination has come. We continue having the expectation that this life, the Maruti car, next life, the Mercedes car. So that's why we continue in the cycle of death and birth. But the Atma, which is Satchidananda Atma, is not Chala, it is Achala. It is not subject to any movement. If you want me to repeat anything, please let me know before we proceed further. This is now Purva Pakshi's out. The expression I do is only Gauna, a figurative expression. Purva Pakshi's objection. I repeat, the expression I do is only Gauna, a figurative expression. Purva Pakshi's objection. When Shankara says this, the Purva Pakshi argues back by saying that when anyone says I do, it is only a figure of speech. It is like saying I did 60 miles an hour. I know I did not do 60 miles an hour. My car did. Similarly, when I say I do, it is only figurative. I know I am distinct from the body and that it is the body that acts. But still, I say I do. The I, cognition, and the body mind sense complex is only figurative, gauna. It is not false, mithya. When somebody says I'm fat, etc., he knows very well that he is not this body, etc. But at the same time, he uses these expressions not in their primary sense, but only in a secondary sense. It is not an erroneous notion, mithya pratyaya, like mistaking a rope as a snake. When I say I do, aham karomi, it can be an error. The body can be taken as Atma and Atma can be taken as the body. That is an erroneous notion. But here it is not error. It is only figurative. This is the argument of the Purva Pakshi. Dehadi sanghate aham pratyayah gaunah na mithya. Shankara rejects this. If that were true, anything born of the body would also be figurative. He is going to explain this later. The Purva Pakshi elaborates his stand. Now the objector explains his position further. The I sense in the body, etc., which belongs to the self, is figurative, gauna, just like in one's own son, which is expressed in the Veda as you are the self that is called the son. Let us understand this word gauna properly, because translating it as a figure of speech or secondary sense is problematic. The word gauna means that certain attributes are pointed out. When the father says to the son, "You are nothing but myself," this is definitely a gauna expression. The idea is when you are happy, I am happy, and when you are unhappy, I become unhappy. The difference between the father and son is evident, but at the same time, there is an expression that indicates that one is the other. That is called a gauna expression. Because the son is born of him, the son is born in his own image, and more than that, the father has such a strong identification with his son that he can say that his son is himself. This is an example of a Vedic expression. In common parlance too, we hear things like, "This cow is my life." Definitely, the one who says this knows that the cow is different from himself and that he is different from the cow, but still, because his livelihood is dependent on the cow, he says that the cow is his life. This is another Gauna expression. So too, it is argued here is the expression I do. It is not a false notion and error, because the one who says this knows that Atma is other than the body, and he also knows that the body is other than the Atma. In a false notion, mithya pratyaya, the attributes of two things are not properly understood, as when the stump of a tree is taken for a person. If the person is understood and the stump is understood, one is not going to be mistaken for the other. Only if what is there is not known and something else is superimposed upon it, is it an error. What is superimposed? Aropa alone is seen and not the basis, adhisthana, of the superimposition. That is error. But when I say I perform this ritual, I know the body and Atma are distinct, and therefore it is not error, mithya pratyaya, but gauna. So says the Purva Pakshi. Should I repeat again the Purva Pakshi's elaboration on his stand, or we'll
No need,
stop here?
because it
Take
confuses.
tomorrow. Yeah, that these two words are to be understood clearly. I think we will repeat this tomorrow. If anyone wants to share before that, the
Purva
Purva
Pakshis are
Pakshis.
so confusing. They so confusing statements
Yeah,
that,
therefore we should
that
not
our
go at
knowledge
all.
gets shaken. Yeah. Like
No,
we
actually,
start
they are
doubting
not
ourselves.
somebody else.
Yeah.
He says
He only has.
the Atma is superimposed and all that. That's yeah, obviously didn't understand clearly. Like the father and son matter, and then the cow. If you think Atma is all one, that concept is not there at all. Looks like so that seem like not correct. Gauna expression, figurative speech. How can it be figurative, father and son? That's what I got out of this.
Yeah, so for Purva Pakshi, that eye, although he knows that it is separate from the body, but still it is Gauna. He knows that
No,
he
but
sees.
obviously,
Yeah.
even though it's figurative,
Mm.
then the example that was given didn't make sense to me. I mean,
It
that
is
was
still that limit. Yeah, I think we will discuss it tomorrow at length. I will read once again this whole Purva Pakshi's objection.
What is Gauna, Belaji? Gauna is?
No, Gauna actually means secondary. That's what he said here in explanation.
Okay.
It is not
Secondary is
primary.
what? Secondary, like I could not follow.
Yeah, I think we will, Brahmaraji can explain better.
Yeah, no, I think we will read this again tomorrow because these are two different concepts, names that are being introduced now, Gauna and Mithya Pratyaya. I think once we read tomorrow again, we'll be able to
Yeah.
get some. See, it is important. It is important for us to know what the Purva Pakshi says because in our own mind, there is this Purva Pakshi coming up, can come up time and again when we are reading knowledge, when we are understanding it. So the reason why Shankara has brought this time and again is to ensure that there is clarity of knowledge and that there is that certainty of knowledge so that these little doubts don't come up. Otherwise, this Maya Memsab can come and then wash out all this clarity. So therefore, it is important for us to understand also what the Purva Pakshi is saying. And then we have the Vedanti standpoint, the Advaita standpoint. And therefore, the knowledge keeps getting clearer and clearer. We're removing all those little weeds of doubts, of uncertainty. I think we'll stop here. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
Thank
Kindly excuse me, it is taking time. Just 2 minutes. It is Sign in to confirm you are not a robot. Anyone can share Maya Panchakam. I am unable to share. It is saying sign in to confirm you are not a robot. Sign in. Kshamyadam, I'm not able to share today. Anyone can share? It is not allowing me to sign in only. It is. Or I will just say Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Kshamyatam. Today I am not able to play the Brahmagyanavali or Maya Panchakam. Anybody is able to? Or Brahmaraji we call it?
No issues, Bella. We'll call it a day today.